This conference will now be recorded.
And I'm going to call the meeting to order. This is the regular town council meeting for Tuesday, August 18th, 2020. I'm going to start with an announcement. It's been a couple of weeks since we've had a meeting, so just a reminder for some and for those who are new participants. To members of the public, please keep all of your microphones muted during the meeting unless you are the person asking a question. Also, kindly keep your camera inactive unless you're speaking. This system does not deal well with multiple simultaneous speakers. The audio from only one person will come through at a time. Therefore, please only speak if you have been recognized. I do not have a traditional wooden gavel at my workstation because I don't need one. As the meeting organizer, I have a mute all button. If people aren't participating respectfully, I'll be forced to mute all so the person who has the floor can be heard. I will now proceed to go through the agenda. If you wish to question or comment during the meeting on a particular agenda item, please type into the chat bar that you do. On my screen, it's the upper right corner. There's a bubble, a text bubble. Click on that. You'll see a strip appear on the side of your screen, and please type into that strip your request to speak. I'll first look for questions from those who are using a computer or the smartphone application to participate. Once I've heard from all who are logged in digitally, I will seek comments from those who have dialed in. If you intend to comment, you must introduce yourself by stating your name and address. And with that, we will rise for a moment of silence. We'll have the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Thank you. Fishbein,
Here.
Laffin,
Here.
Marone,
Here.
Morgenstein. Here. Shortell,
Here.
Tata,
Here.
Testa, Zandri,
Here.
Chairman Savoni,
Here.
Mayor,
Here.
Attorney Farrell,
Here.
and is Jim Bowes here?
Present.
Thank you very much.
Can I have a motion on the consent agenda, please?
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve or accept consent agenda items A through Q.
Second. That was me.
Second, did you get that, Madam Clerk? The seconds were either Shortell or Fishbein, depending on who you heard first. I think they spoke at the same time. So coin toss. Moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstaining?
Abstain.
All right, on to item 4. Items removed from the consent agenda. There are none. On to item 5, the public question and answer period. a message from Mr. Comerford. Go ahead.
Yes, questions for the mayor. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Mayor, I was not able to hand deliver you the paperwork that you received from the town clerk as well as the council as it pertains to my question. As you can see, the sexton of Center Street Cemetery, Mr. Devaney, was in some cases 2 years late with just today's example, providing the town clerk with the required reports by statute. The legislative research shows the fines and authority. When as you as mayor made, when as you as mayor made aware that this was happening?
I'm not familiar with the subject and knows a claim about it, I believe a couple of years ago, but at this point, I'm hearing this from you right now, so.
So let me get that straight. Up until today, you weren't aware of this ever.
I didn't say that. I was aware there was a claim about it at an earlier time, but I'm not any more familiar with it than that.
All right, so can you explain about the claim that you're stating?
I heard there was an allegation that some things weren't done properly, but I know nothing more about it than that.
So when may have that taken place?
Pardon?
When were you aware that the statement that you just stated, that there were some claims that may have alluded to that this has taken place?
Maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago. It was at a meeting. I think there was an allegation about it.
Okay. And what did you do about it? Anything?
I didn't do anything, no.
So you didn't
The person in charge of the cemetery at the time, I'm not sure if it was at the time, they were going to look into it. That's all I know.
And you didn't do a follow-up to find out if there's been a habitual pattern at all?
No, as I said, I've not done anything about it.
Okay, and the next question, real quick, is the same question for Attorney Farrell. Attorney Farrell, as you as the town attorney, when, if and ever, were you aware of this?
I've never been aware of it.
Okay, so you weren't aware of it at all, and I'm assuming that that means the law department was not aware of it either?
No, a lot of things come to Corporation Counsel small, and she doesn't necessarily make me aware of everything that she knows of.
Okay, but in a case like that, it should have gone to the town attorney?
I couldn't quite hear your question.
I said, in a case like this, should it have come to the town attorney?
I wouldn't say yes. No, I do not believe that.
Okay. All right, so I'm assuming that all the councilors received that, and going back, because I'm sure my 2 minutes is almost expired. Mayor, so you have the paperwork, you have the facts in front of you. You
I don't.
concur that
No, as I told you, I don't have any other information right now. I haven't seen any information.
But you saw the information that I supplied you with.
I haven't seen any information today, no.
So the town clerk didn't give you this information.
The town clerk may have provided it to the office, but I haven't seen it. I don't know. One of the staff members was not in this afternoon. I don't know.
Okay, so I'm going to have to hold off to the next town council meeting then. But Chairman Cervoni, did you see the paperwork I'm referring to?
I did.
And am I correct by my assumptions that they were approximately 2 years late?
I didn't become that familiar with the document. We're the legislative board now. We're not the executive board. We're not law enforcement.
I didn't say that, but what I'm saying is that we have a subcontractor as a town that we have administer certain duties and be following state statute. That's why I wanted the entire town council to see the facts based upon what was given to the town, the town clerk. And it should raise some concern because what I'm going to be providing you over all these rest of these meetings of decades and decades and decades of failure to file reports. So we'll start off with the next meeting as a follow-up with this for Mayor Dickinson, because hopefully it'll give him ample enough time to look at that. Thank you very much.
Anyone else for public question and answer? All right, I have no messages in the chat box, and I don't hear anything else, so I will take that as a no. We'll move on to item 6, which is the COVID-19 update from the health director. Mr. Civitelli, I understand, is on vacation. So Mayor, do you have anything for us?
Yes, Steve was able to give me a report. In June, there were 24 confirmed cases, 23 community, 1 nursing home. July, 18 confirmed cases. They're all community, none in nursing homes. August, there were 10 confirmed cases, all in community. So over the entire pandemic, 7,337 individuals were tested in the town of Wallingford. 16% of the total population was tested. There were 510 positive results for COVID-19. That is 1.13% of the total population tested positive for COVID-19. There were some 13,251 tests conducted that were negative. In many cases, there were multiple tests per person. The 7-day rolling average for the town of Wallingford currently is 0.42 cases per day for the week ending August 13th. 7-day rolling average at peak of the community cases in April was 4.35 cases per day, for a total of 70 fatalities, 68 in long-term care facilities, 2 in the community. No fatalities reported since the week of July 9th. Contact tracing has been conducted, the monitoring of 3 individuals for a 10-day window as of August 13th. August 11th was the last strategic national stockpile pickup in Cheshire. Staff of the health department are conducting an inventory audit for potential future allocations. The PPE was allocated for medical providers in town. Environmental staff of the department are continuing to follow up on COVID-19 related complaints at licensed facilities, restaurants, salons, primarily mask and social distance violations. And they've been working with the Board of Education regarding the return to school. That concludes the report.
If questions or comments from the council, bearing in mind Mr. Civitelli is not here. Questions or comments from the public? There being none, thank you, Mayor. On to item 7.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve a 1% increase in pensions for pensioners.
Second.
You get that, Town Clerk? Councilor Shortell with the second. Mr. Hutt, thank you for attending our meeting.
Yes.
It's been 3 years since I think we visited this issue. Can you give us a little reminder of the background, please?
Yes. So the pension contracts within the town of Wallingford provide language that once every 3 years, I will approach the council to have them consider a COLA for current town retirees. Those retirees have to fit into several categories. One being that they have to have been retired for at least 1 year prior to the COLA, must not be receiving any workers' compensation payments in addition to their pension, and also police officers and firefighters that receive the annual 2% COLA once they reach age 60. Those retirees are not entitled to this COLA that I'm coming before the council tonight. So given those conditions, we're looking at recommending a 1% increase. That itself would cost over $105,000 per year, but it's only to be provided on with the September 2020 pension check, and then it would be that same amount for the next 2 years following. So it's not 1% this year, 1% next year, 1% the next. It's a flat 1% increase to be revisited in September, to be revisited again in August of 2023.
Mr. Hutt, when you say the cost is $105,471 annually, is that the increase in the town's contribution to the fund?
No, that would be an increase in the disbursements from the pension fund. So right now, based upon information that I have, we're currently providing a monthly pension amount, a total monthly pension of $878,926. So that's the monthly pension cost to the town. And so based upon the 1%, it would increase on an annual basis of $105,000 plus.
So that means we're paying over $10 million a year out in pension.
Just for this group here, this does not include the people who have recently retired within the last year and police and fire who received the 2% COLA. So they only get the 2% COLA once they reach age 60. So this only includes the group that does not fall in those other categories.
Okay. I see a question from Councilor Fishbein.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, Jim.
Good evening.
The other classification that I saw in the backup that would be exempt from this increase is those that are on workers' compensation. Is that accurate?
Well, yes. So we've had sometimes in the past retirees who retire with a service-connected disability pension. And so when they retire with a service-connected disability pension, they are receiving their pension, whatever that comes out to be. And then they're also receiving workers' compensation payments. So those payments together by the pension contracts cannot be more than 100% of what they're earning at the time of their disability retirement. So they're already making their full pay while they're receiving comp and their pension. They're already receiving, close to what they were making. They were actively working. So they're not. But in the future, if they do come off workers' compensation payments and they're no longer receiving them, then they would be eligible for this COLA.
They'd only be eligible for, they'd be eligible for this COLA or any future COLAs, just so that I'm clear here.
No, they would be eligible for that COLA that I approach the council with once every 3 years. So they may not be, I don't believe we have anybody that's in this category right now, but if they weren't eligible 2020, And then, subsequent to this evening, they no longer are receiving workers' compensation payments. For the 2023 COLA, they would be eligible then, as
Okay,
long as they
so
weren't
if-
receiving workers' comp payments.
So if in 6 months from now, and I don't know if there's any claims out there, we settle a workers' comp case, which sometimes we do with some sort of payout and that kind of thing, the individual, the pensioner, would not be eligible for this COLA increase, but they would because they're no longer getting workers' compensation benefits in 2023 because they've already settled their case. They would be eligible for that one.
That's correct.
Okay, that clears that up. And that's by virtue of the contract, correct?
That's correct. So the pension contracts clearly state that an individual who's receiving a service-connected disability pension and workers' compensation payments cannot receive more than 100% of their pay they were earning at the time of the disability.
Okay, that clears that up. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Councilor Tata is next.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Hunt, how many people does this affect approximately?
This would affect 405 retirees plus a beneficiary. So this is retirees and beneficiaries of those retirees who have predeceased their spouses.
Okay. And if we did not grant this tonight, you cannot come back next year, correct? You have to wait the full 3 years.
I believe so, but I think the language off the top of my head specifically states once every 3 years.
Okay, so they'd have to wait until 2023 to look at this again if it was voted down.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Anyone else with questions for Mr. Hutt? Members of the public? There being none, Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Certainly. Fishbein,
Yes?
Laffin,
Yes.
Marone,
Yes.
Morgenstein,
Yes.
Shortell,
Yes.
Teta,
Yes.
Testa,
Yes.
Sandri,
Yes.
Chairman Savoni,
Yes.
and the motion passes.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Hutt.
Thank you.
Before we move along, the next two items are an executive session. We're going to do this a little differently than we've done it for the past executive sessions. We're not going into a separate meeting. What I'm going to do is I'm going to ask those who are not part of the executive session to log off the meeting. If you don't log off the meeting, I'm going to kick you off the meeting. And then once the people who should be in executive session remain, I am then going to lock the meeting. So I'm going to give people about 90 seconds to log off voluntarily, and then I'm just going to have to exercise my administrative authority.
Could we have a motion first to go into executive
Oh, yes.
session, please?
I'm sorry, Councilor Laffin. Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, do we have anything for the sale, leasing of property or purchase of property?
Yes, we do.
Okay. All right, Mr. Chairman and Council, I move we go into executive session pursuant to section 1-206D of the Connecticut General Statutes with respect to the purchase, sale, and or leasing of property, and sections 1-206B with respect to the pending workers' compensation claim, Johnson versus Town of Wallingford.
Second. That
I
was
had
me.
I had it first.
You did not.
I absolutely did.
All right. You know what? I am going to suggest that we take these
Out of order.
Yeah, let's do the workers' comp one first.
Yep.
And then we can have Attorney Passaretti and Mr. Triber take a break, and I can summon them back in. So, Tom, as I am looking through those in attendance, I
Chief
think
Wright is still here.
I'm sorry?
Chief Wright is still here. Is that okay with the issue?
Attorney Farrell, do you see any harm with Chief Wright attending the executive session on the workers' comp?
I think, Mr. Mayor, I think technically speaking, under FOI, only people who are directly involved in the subject matter should be present. I have nothing against the chief, but.
Chief Wright, I will let you know when we move on to your item.
Yeah.
You ready for us? Executive session.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? Hearing none. I declare the meeting back in public session. And all we have left is item 10.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the settlement of the workers' compensation claim as discussed in the executive session in the matter of Johnson versus Town of Wallingford.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? I also vote aye. The vote's unanimous. And that is all the business on our agenda. So I will adjourn this meeting and stop the recording. Have a good night, everyone.
Night.
This conference is no longer being recorded.